In December 1992, the Marines went to Mogadishu so they could help Somalia recover from the famine and civil war. Operation Restore Hope lasted until 1994 and was extremely controversial. The United States preferred to think that we went over there to help stop the starvation. However, Somalia preferred to think that the United States went to Somalia to control their government and treat them like animals. Through articles, movies, and clips that we've seen, the idea of heroism was portrayed through almost all of them.
For many years, Somalia had suffered from poor economic and social conditions for its people. After their leader, Mohamed Siad Barre, was overthrown by the United Somali Congress, the group had divided into two groups, one led by Mohamed Fareh Aidid and another by Ali Mahdi. Civil war broke out when each group tried dominating the other, which led to the destruction of many of Somalia's food sources, therefore leading to the starvation and death to nearly 300,000 Somalis.
Many clips we have seen were given from a pro-U.S. point of view, therefore giving off hidden messages to the watchers, saying that the U.S. were acting on heroism to save a nation from starvation. However, from the eyes of the Somalis, their presence is questionable. Government officials justified Operation Restore Hope as a humanitarian intervention to ensure the positive public perception. Bill Clinton himself declared that the U.S. military was to be a force for good, therefore having the U.S. believe that the military are going to Somalia to help them during the hard times of civil war and famine. Politicians and the military praised and glorified the operation to hide their true motives. From the online article, The International Socialist Review, it states that their true motives were, quote, to push through a neoliberal economic agenda, crush resistance to the empire, and build a network of compliant regimes. In other words, they wanted to move away from a new type of liberalism, crush the opposing forces, and form a new manageable regime. Not only that, but they supposedly want to get a hold of Somalia's oil supply. If they were to restore peace throughout Somalia, then the U.S. would be granted with oil. The military just used the excuse of a famine for U.S. military intervention.
Operation Restore Hope, according to the U.S., was a very positive and helpful approach to the end of the famine and war in Somalia. In August 1992, the U.S. Marines arrived in Mogadishu with the mission of, quote, ending the famine as well as the civil war, end quote. Somali people were dying of starvation and battle injuries. The United States were on the news very frequently, reporting their wants and ambitions of Operation Restore Hope. For example, in a newscast, Bill Clinton, current president at the time, states that if the United States didn't go to Somalia, the struggling country would have starved for a longer period of time, and the Civil War would have lasted longer as well. His message was spread to the American people, and the people obviously listened to the president. Media played a huge part in Operation Restore Hope because not many Americans were in Somalia, so they relied on news stations and the words of their president to report what was really going on. While television and news reports were a huge part of the media movement during Operation Restore Hope, good old-fashioned news articles got the word out too. The Encyclopedia Britannica displays an article on their website that explains what is going on in Somalia with a bias toward the United States. A small portion of the article states, quote, that East African state had suffered a total breakdown of civil authority, and hundreds of thousands of people were dying of famine as warlords fought for control. During his last days in office, Bush has approved Operation Restore Hope for the dispatch of Somalia of some 28,000 American troops, end quote. The article is relatively short and just includes the basics of what was going on in Somalia. Media shaped the public perception of Operation Restore Hope, but it also shapes the public eye of political events today. Whether it may be videos, films, photos, or even news articles, media is the way the word gets out these days.
Operation Restore Hope was meant to meet a positive reaction from Somalia and the U.S. What had been a mission for relief had certainly turned out to be a political war and battle for government control. As soon as the U.S. became focused on altering Somalia's political leadership, 18 U.S. soldiers were killed, and this outraged the public because of the sudden change in goals. In an attempt to kill Aidid, which is their leader. We had bombed a safe house in which we believed he was in. It had killed many innocent Somalis, including women and children. This angered the Somalis and encouraged further action to remove any U.S. affiliation from Somalia. The real first-hand event that got the media's attention in the U.S. was the so-called massacre, Black Hawk Down, where 3 U.S. soldiers and a Black Hawk was shot down with an RPG and killed. This was portrayed in the movie Black Hawk Down, which was created from an American perspective. What was not shown in the movie was the psychological advantage it gave to Somalia.
You shouldn't have come here. This is our war, not yours.
300,000 dead and counting. That's not a war, Mr. Ito. It's genocide.
These people, they have no food. We can either help, or we can sit back and watch a country destroy itself on CNN. You ever shot at anybody before?
No, Sergeant.
Me neither.
Once that first bullet goes past your head, politics go right out the window.
Hey, baby, it's me. You there? Pick up if you're there. I love you, baby.
RPG! Hold on! 6 stars, go down!
Got a Black Hawk down. Black Hawk.
My men are surrounded by thousands of Somali militia. I need help now.
Where's the rescue squad?
We're in!
I can't do it. It's what you do right now that makes a difference.
People ask me, why do you do it, man? They want to understand it's about the men next to you.
Don't let that man crawl! Somebody help that man!
That's all it is.
No one gets left behind, you know that.
Through media, it is seen that Operation Restore Hope was to receive positive public perception. From real-life footage, political interviews, and a movie, Americans were to think that everything that was done was for a helpless country. However, when it comes to Somalia's side of the story, one would be conflicted on whether they should trust Somalia or the U.S.
to take chances.
Therefore, some would think it is in the state of controversy. While the U.S. did go to Somalia to help take care of the famine in the Civil War, many thought they had alternative motives. Many Americans and Somalis thought the United States wanted Somalia to gain control over the country. Some have the theory that the U.S. tried to disguise their motives by saying they were going to Somalia for different reasons. In the words of William Shakespeare, no legacy is so rich as honesty.
Only the United States has the global reach to place a large security force on the ground in such a distant place quickly and efficiently, and thus save thousands of innocents from death.